Keymark, and welcome back to Let's Play Shadowrun Hong Kong Extended Edition. Last we left off, we talked to Kindly Chang about the new intel we got. We ended up learning that the person who hired the plastic-faced man to kill Raymond Black, named Josephine Sang. We at least got, We at least got some intel. Also, I apologize if the internet quality is a bit low today. It's kind of raining. I know I should probably, not do that today, like not stream during the middle of a rainy day, but entire atom is cramping up. I know that feeling. You roll in your cot, willing the shooting pains that radiate from your stomach to go away. Your mouth is bone dry and your tongue is swollen. It feels thick and inarticulate, like a useless slab of meat. A quick glance at your PDA tells you that it's 4 a.m. outside of your cabin. The rest of Haoi sleeps. All you remember of the dream that you awoke from is a horrible, unfulfilled yearning and a need to get where you're going first. Others were behind you. You could feel the heat of their breath on your neck. If you were to beat them to your destination, you could just keep them out and away from what was yours. But if they overtook you, you would feel that terrible longing forever. As you grasp at your last in your eyes again, the sun filters in under your door. It's morning. So yeah, another bad dream. Let's go talk to Duncan. You enter to find Wu stalking the floor silently, one hand held rigidly near his hip, the other flexing and unflexing again and again. When he notices you, he nods once and goes back to his caged panther routine. You're gonna wear a hole in the floor that way. Wu keeps pacing. Need some. You gonna be okay? Yeah, just trying to maintain. Pacing helps. Been thinking about Josephine Sang, what she did to our family, what she did to Carter. His pace increases a bit, and his tusks jut forward slightly. Josephine Sang. Goddamn Josephine Sang. We'll find a way to get to her, Duncan. Good, because when we do, the old Duncan is coming out and play. Wu's eyes smolder. Here's what we do. We walk into Sang headquarters and ask for the boss. When she comes down, we grab her, take her somewhere quiet, and ask her why she had Carter and those runners killed. Find out what happened to Raymond, whether he's alive or dead. What happens next is up to her. Kidnap a member of the Hong Kong Executive Council while there's an APB out on us? It's bold. You'll never see it coming. This is the way to go. My way. Whoa, did you just say that? Yeah, what? There's only one way this'll go. He catches himself. Understanding appears on his eyes. Oh crap, that's what Ray used to say. Raymond Black, our benevolent dictator. No questioning his rules, no falling short of his expectations. It was his way or the wrong way. Or you get the full-on Raymond treatment. I didn't care to be on the receiving end of that. And I was, more than once, that's for sure. You remember what happened a few years after we moved out of the squat and into his house? The thing with Double Tray and Lockjaw when he accused us of relapsing back into our old ways? Man, that was when Ray's authority finally got tested. His raspy baritone tinkled with satisfaction. When I finally stood up to him. He couldn't hear a word you were saying. I'd never seen him so angry. It was a sight to behold, that's for sure. I didn't listen, he didn't listen, then we butted heads, same as always. He smiles, but it's filled with regret. But that one was the worst. Good thing you were there to stop it. His face settles into an expression of resignation. Okay, Mr. Long, we don't need to do things my way. Only for us to butt heads. He stretches, you can hear his joints crack. And on that note, I'm gonna have to ask you to clear out. It's been another long day. I'm getting a feeling they're all gonna be long days. Yeah, I'm getting that feeling too. Anyway, have a good night, Shen. I'll catch you tomorrow. I think we were supposed to talk about this before we went to sleep. Reactor? Alright, the Ares run. Box of mementos. Glancing through the box of mementos, you spot a few hitherto unseen items laying near the surface of Gaichu's mess of knickknacks. A pair of chopsticks with stained tips, and a torn-out page from a book covered in Japanese writing. Chopsticks. The chopsticks are a simple affair. Black lacquer, obviously cheap and mass-produced. Whatever reason Gaichu has for keeping them, it isn't their age or quality. Taking a closer look at the chopsticks, it becomes apparent that they have seen some rough use. The lacquer near the tips is chipped and flaked away, revealing the wood beneath. The wood itself is stained a dark brown and encrusted with something. Why are you keeping these chopsticks? Gaichu bursts into unexpected laughter, almost dropping his sword as he doubles over. He manages to gasp out a sentence after a long moment. Oh my goodness, I had forgotten those were in the box. He takes a few deep breaths, composing himself. Raising his sword, Gaichu returns to his practice. Tell me, have you ever heard of Tetsuya Nakamura? He was a member of Shadowrun's upper management for many years, running most of the Shadowrun's envirotech and agricultural development. A very bright star in the corporate world. He died in 2052, and those chopsticks are what I killed him with. Chopsticks? Really? They were the closest thing to a weapon I had at hand. Nakamura took his security very seriously and employed several highly augmented bodyguards. It was only through several months of extensive planning that we were able to get near him at all. When faced with a challenge, one is often forced to improvise with what is at hand. We had studied Nakamura's schedule painstakingly, particularly his twice-monthly trips to Neo-Tokyo. In Osaka, Shadowrun's presence would have made an attempt at his life functionally impossible. In Neo-Tokyo, though, in studying his movement patterns, we discovered that he would eat at a particular French restaurant in Ginza every second trip, at precisely 8:30 in the evening. It seemed that he had a secret lover who lived in Roppongi, and he was visiting him during his business trips. Owing to the secrecy, he would give his bodyguards a night off when the two met. The restaurant in question was famous for its molecular gastronomy and the precision of their chefs, not to mention the view from the 38th floor. We managed to secure reservations near Nakamura's usual table, but only for two of us. It was decided that Sasaki and I would be the pair to kill Nakamura. Ishida and Aomori would wait one floor below, and Takagawa would keep watch from a nearby skyscraper. We carried small but high-powered pistols, as well as tactical knives. We expected it to be easy. So what went wrong? As I rose to draw my pistol on Nakamura, his lover somehow knew what was happening. He shrieked bloody murder and burst into flames. We discovered after the fact that he was a very powerful mage, but we hadn't discovered this in our surveillance. Somehow he managed to throw a barrier over the two of them that deflected my bullets. When I pulled my knife, it had turned red hot. I was forced to drop it. Sasaki engaged him in the contest of wills. I am not sure how that kind of magic works, but I could not shatter his barrier. She was too busy dodging the lightning bolts he was throwing, and since the flames had set off the fire system, well, it was not easy. Nakamura broke and ran, and I pursued him. He had a small hand pulled-out pistol, a PB-120 or something similar, and I grabbed the nearest weapon I could find. Gaichu gestures towards you with the tip of his sword, those chopsticks. I slid them up into his brainstem, through the trachea. He died without making a sound, not that I would have been able to hear it over the sound of Aomori's machine gun, rattling away one full blow. Apparently the bodyguards were not truly given the night off, and they were still nearby. What happened to Nakamura's lover? Gaichu chuckles, tilting his head up toward the ceiling as he recalls the memory. Takagawa managed to punch through his barrier with a well-placed 408 caliber slug from across the street. It didn't kill him, but it broke his concentration. Sasaki finished the rest. With the windows blown out, we fast-roped down the side of the building and disappeared into the night. It was not the cleanest job, but it was very memorable. I still remember the smell. Ozone and bechamel mixing with the cordite and the vieux chicois. Damn, that must have been one intense fight. Examine the page. The page is old and highly stylized calligraphy is handwritten. The style is so artistic, in fact, that it has to be functionally legible to you. This page seems to be missing a book, Gaichu. Gaichu nods in agreement and steps forward to deliver a crosscut in the air in front of him. Yes, but that page is all that I wanted from the book. I look out from the cloudless mountain and moonlight on the sea. Its islands so many rents in a sheet of ice. Gaichu pivots on the ball of his heel, thrusting the tip of his sword into the darkest of the room. The poet Saigyo. He was a master of conveying a sense of solitude and emptiness, and I have always found that poem to echo what I felt inside myself. How so? So often it feels as if I am contained within a ball of ice floating through the void of this life, cold and solitary. The moments I share with those who have truly mattered to me chip through that frost and let me scream out that I am not alone. Alright. Gaichu? The cabin is silent aside from the occasional swish of air as Gaichu steps through sword forms. He holds each stance for a few seconds, practicing a given swing a few times before switching to the next. Hello, Sangjan. A single bead of sweat rolls down Gaichu's temple as he holds his position. After a few moments, he shifts to a relaxed stance, starting the form again. Pardon me for continuing my exercises. I feel that I have been letting them slip of late. You're worried about you're getting rusty? No, that's not quite it. Rather, I wish to learn to bring my enhanced strength and speed to bear. In order to do so, I must ensure that my blindness does not hinder me. Perfection is a journey, not a destination. Gaichu lifts his sword, offering its edge first toward you. Do you see that edge? Forged by one of the finest swordsmiths in modern Japan. Diamond-coated edge, capable of cutting even the hardest ceramic armors. But what good is a sharpened edge without the precision to apply it? When I was still a man, I could have cut a single pea in half with my eyes closed. Oddly, after becoming blind, I cannot replicate this feat. Running the back of his claw along the blade's surface, Gaichu smiles thinly. I think soon I will be able to perform this feat again. I simply have to train my body to ignore the senses that it no longer has and pay attention to the new ones. Now, what is it you would like to discuss? Has it been difficult to learn to fight while blind? It is not the easiest thing I have attempted, but neither is the hardest. Placing his sword off to one side, Gaichu turns to face you. Emptiness is form is one of the lessons about the Hagakure. Trained sufficiently, and both swordsmanship and obedience will come in instinctively. That is the closest to perfection a man can attain. Does that mean in a perfect world, you would have killed yourself when you got infected? If an order should be unjust or foolish, it should not be followed. To waste a skilled warrior as they would have been killed as they would have by killing me, it is unacceptable. Obedience without a thought is to be cultivated, but so is the moral fortitude to know when to disagree. When I was new to the unit, I thought that to be a good samurai was the ultimate goal, that to serve justly with dedication was the greatest honor a warrior could have. We were all young and foolish once, I suppose. So what changed your mind? Beyond my disease, there was a fight in Fukuoka. My former team ambushed me. It had a singular effect on my worldview. We were taught that we were superior to everyone, that since we were pure humans and Japanese, we would always win. I believe that most never questioned the validity of this claim, even when confronted with direct evidence to the contrary. Tell me about when your old unit ambushed you. Very well. Gaichu draws his nails over his scalp, sighing. My time in Fukuoka was tense. Since leaving Keihanchin, I had been careful to stay out of sight by moving on foot or in the back of automated delivery vans. I was running out of food, however, I needed to be in a city for that. Fukuoka was just big enough to get lost in, but not so large that a ghoul sighting could go unnoticed. I hid in abandoned buildings and storm drainage systems, and for 2 weeks I managed to stay hidden. The strain of having to constantly move was wearing on me, however. I made a mistake. What happened? I had to get out of Japan, but all my contacts in Fukuoka had come up empty-handed when I asked for a way to China. I was running low on money, and I could feel the team catching up with me. A contact of mine in Kumamoto owed me a favor and arranged passage for me if I could reach the city in 48 hours. Gaichu closes his eyes, resting his face with one palm. If I had taken my time, I could have made it to Kumamoto without incident, but I let caution slip when I got his email. I thought that if I disguised myself, I could take the train there, get out before my unit got any closer to finding me. I still don't know how they found me. Magical tracking, perhaps, or simply a well-developed spy network. Regardless, they found me. They were waiting for me at Hakata Station. It was an ambush. That's a very public place for an ambush. It is. I suspect their orders were clear, however. Do whatever it takes to kill me, civilians expendable. For units like the Red Samurai, ordinary laws do not apply. The mission's success is the only concern. I had taken steps to disguise myself as best as I could, relying on the sheer number of people to conceal my presence. I suspected that the team might attack when I was in public, but I did not realize just how expendable the civilians were. When they blew the C4 charges over the station's western entrance just to box me in, I realized how much I had underestimated them. They literally detonated C4 just to box you in? Dang. That's messed up. I assumed that a train had derailed, honestly, but then I smelled the telltale acrid vapor of the explosives. Gaichu wrinkles his nose at the memory. Once you smell it, you never forget. The plastic explosive that we used as a particularly sharp odor, like old cheese. Something to do with an olfactory tag and added to help track if it was stolen. I remember stumbling through the dust and debris, trying to find my way to the rail platforms. They attacked from all sides, using the confusion to strike me at once. I could hear Ishida and Takagawa behind me. Aomori and Sasaki charged out of an access corridor just ahead of where I had been standing. Sasaki threw a firewall down behind me, cutting off a tree while Aomori started firing. That's a nasty situation to be caught in. One of the worst. Confined space, facing a mage and a heavy gunner, those are losing odds, even if the attackers were ordinary mercenaries. I did the only thing I could think of. I charged Aomori and Sasaki. They were only 15 meters away from me. The only advantage I had was that they were as blinded by the dust as I was, but I could still hear and smell them. Sasaki threw a lightning bolt at me, but I managed to roll under it. As I came up, Aomori's light machine gun was swiveling down. I felt time stretch out as I stared down the barrel. I caught Aomori in the throat with the tip of my sword. It was a maneuver I had practiced hundreds of times before. There was no resistance as I cut through his trachea, and he fell as I rolled to the side. I could hear him choking for breath as he dropped. Gaichu exhales a humorous laugh and shakes his head. It is strange to think how clear that memory is, even now. He was your friend. That kind of thing will stick with you. Gaichu snorts, waving a hand dismissively. Spare me the tune UN psychiatry. Obviously what you say is true, but the memory sticks with me so strongly for another reason. It was in that strike that I realized who I truly was. My whole time with the Red Samurai I had focused on ensuring that I was worthy of the team. Everyone felt that way, but I felt it more acutely than most. I had always wanted to be the best, the fastest, the most precise. In the Red Samurai, I felt that to be less than perfect would be to let the team down. We were always told how lucky we were to have been accepted into the unit. The moment my sword struck Aomori, I knew that I would survive the fight. They attacked me as they would an animal. They seemed to be counting on hurting me into Takagawa and Ishida. Aomori didn't even try to get out of the way of my sword strike. I recall his eyes go wide. He looked surprised that I used the weapon and not my claws. They underestimated you. Gaichu nodded sharply. They thought they were fighting a beast. I would have never had them underestimated them as they did me. All the lessons I taught them about close combat thrown out the window as soon as their preconceptions entered the battlefield. Disgraceful. As I killed Aomori, I realized that it was not that I was unworthy of the Red Samurai, but that they were unworthy of me. What did it mean that I, an infected monster that was less than a beast, could still defeat the finest soldiers in the world? Red Samurai doctrine taught Aomori and the others not to fear me, that this overconfidence would be their death. I realized I had progressed beyond their ability to understand. My sword was as accurate as ever, but they could not account for it due to ideological blindness. That's the danger of letting ideology overrule facts. Precisely. All those years I was worried I was not good enough to be a member of the Red Samurai. That somehow they had been pulling my weight. But I had been blind to all of the ways in which we were not training or had avoided the harsh truths about our own abilities. We were so often told of our own excellence that I wondered if we had ever truly been tested. Sasaki was the next to fall. As I turned away from Aomori, I realized she must have seen me strike him. Her eyes were wide, and I could feel the fear and anger as she tried to summon another spell. She seemed caught between healing Aomori and attacking me. Gaichu taps himself on the forehead, just above his right eye. It was there, on Sasaki. A downward stroke from Jodan's stance. She hesitated, just as Elmori had. I felt the breath go out of her, like someone had deflated a tire. She just slid down into a pile. I think she was trying to ask me how when I ran. What about Ishida and Takagawa? My goal was survival, not victory. Takagawa was too far away and I did not see Ishida. I only smelled him, so I ran. The trains had been shut down due to the explosion, but as long as I could get out of Hataka Station, I knew I could escape. They did not follow me out into the city proper. From what I heard via the Matrix, the event was reported as a terrorist attack that was thwarted by brave Renraku soldiers. Gaichu snorts, lips curling downward. Brave, foolish soldiers. If you killed 2 of them, why are they still hunting you? Gaichu does not answer immediately. He seems uneasy with the question, fidgeting with his fingers. I am unsure why that would make a difference. Can you explain what you're driving at? The unit's down 3 members. Why not give up on you? Ah, I see. I think your mistake is in seeing this from a practical perspective. The problem is emotional, not mechanical. Folding his arms over his chest, Gaichu continues to explain. The nature of Red Samurai assignment is such that losses are generally 0, with the entire team. In those rare cases where Red Samurai teams suffer partial losses, the remnants of the impacted teams are shuffled together and undergo retraining. Satsuki and Aomori will undoubtedly be replaced. The problem is that I cannot be replaced. Simply put, I am not dead. Ordinarily, a missing Red Samurai would be considered dead for purposes of reorganizing teams. But Renraku knows precisely what has happened to me. What's more, my failure to do my duty reflects badly on the unit. Others will undoubtedly resist joining my former squad as it has been tainted. So until they kill you, nobody wants to join their club? Gaichu nods his assent. Yes, that is the case. They cannot move forward and rebuild the core of the unit unless I die, both because of their own expectations and the state of their honor. Even if they accepted my decision, the rest of the Red Samurai would not. They have hunted me in Japan, Shanghai, and Beijing, and now I am certain they will hunt me here in Hong Kong. The cycle will continue endlessly for the foreseeable future. Such is the way things are. You sound as trapped as in the past as they are. Though, wouldn't it be easier if you faced them down rather than run? How do you mean? I have faced them several times in the past, in Fukuoka and in Shanghai. Unless you have a deeper meaning I am unaware of, I have already done as you suggest. You're simply letting them come after you. Take the fight to them. Gaichu pulls back as if you slapped him. What do you suggest? That I hunt them down when they sleep and murder them in cold blood? If you're as good as you claim, you should have been able to finish this by now. Oh, of course, because combat is a binary. You are either capable of defeating all your opponents or none of them. Gaichu sneers, baring his teeth in scorn. Rank foolishness. I have done my utmost to end their lives. You know their skills and training. You have the advantage over them. What you say is true. They can track me down, but I always have the advantage knowing the terrain. I can, in a general way, set the terms of the engagement. Narrowing his eyes, Gaichu seems to consider this in earnest. I seek to perfect myself, my skills, and my abilities in combat. Perhaps this is not the path I would have walked when I was younger, but I have been a soldier for so long that I cannot imagine devoting myself to any other trade. This does not mean that I am tied inextricably to my unit. It simply means that I am shaped by my history, as we all are. I appreciate your concern about my history and my unit, but I assure you I am doing all right. I must learn to adapt to my new condition and my lifestyle on my own. The time will come when they find me in Hong Kong. So, what will you do about your unit when they come looking for you in Hong Kong? I am unsure. You have given me a great deal to consider, and I do not mean that lightly. There are several actions and possible outcomes I foresee. I could, as I have before, relocate to another city, flee Hong Kong, travel to somewhere further afield, Lagos, perhaps, or Montreal. It would have to be some place where Renraku's influence was minimum, and where the unit's presence would be immediately noticeable. This has been my plan of action in the past. I could also keep a low profile, staying here, hope that they are unable to find precisely where I am hiding. Undoubtedly, Ishida would have commanded the team to keep looking. I believe it would be only a matter of time before they found me, but if it were a sufficiently long time, they might be recalled. I could also confront them, draw them out into the open at the time and place of my choosing. They are nothing not predictable in their efforts to follow Red Samurai operational doctrine. That plan could succeed, but it could also put you and civilians at risk, and I am unsure how it would draw them out in the first place. You need to find a way to fight them. Gaichu sighs, shoulder slumping a little. I am unsure if that is the wisest course of action. I'm going to need to think about this a great deal. Please let me think on this. I'll have an answer later. Sure thing. I'll talk to you later. Okay, so it looks like we can't talk with him. Shame about that perfecting thing. I want to know more about it. But now that we're getting some downtime, what have I been doing this week? Well, I saw Captain Laserhawk, the Blood Dragon remix. It was definitely a lot of interesting, honestly. Good show. Very surprised Rayman was an antagonist, but I'm really curious to know if they're actually going to make a sequel. I mean, next season. Gobbet. Gobbet glances up at the sound of your approach. A slight smile crosses her face. Hey, pal. She puts her hands on her hips, sending mana scurrying. You ready for the next lesson? Absolutely. Hit me with it. Straight to business. She nods appreciatively. I like that. Good. This is one about people like Auntie Cheng and why we need them. There won't be a Q&A session after this story, but I want you to listen up. It's important. I'm all ears. Alright, so here's the upfront lesson. Fixers are important. You can't just go to a Johnson yourself and get a job. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. It's a bad idea all around. Okay, go on. The reason why it's a bad idea to cut people like Auntie Cheng out is because you need someone to vet your clients. That's important. Protect the whole team. She takes a breath, lets it out slowly. You remember the lesson from last time? The one about Sui and the shiny object? Yeah. Well, after the run was over, we went back to the sinking ship for some R&R. Sui had told us that the client would be sending a boat to collect the shiny object in the morning. All that we had to do was keep things safe until the handoff. We were in a celebratory mood. We'd killed an evil wizard and stolen a priceless artifact. Good night's work by anyone's standards. Hanu and Ankrit got good and drunk in record time. So we went back to his cabin with the shiny object tube. I don't know, stare at it for a while or something? I retired to my cabin and crashed out. It'd been a long night. I remember waking up to sounds. Yelling maybe? I was groggy and they were far away. I couldn't quite make them out. The clock said 4:30 a.m. People were always partying on the raft, playing loud music, shooting fireworks, that kind of thing. So loud noises early in the morning weren't unusual, but something felt off somehow. That be your subconscious trying to warn you of something? She nods. Yeah, it's a lot like a panic attack, really. That full body certainty that something is wrong. So I got out to investigate. If something was wrong, I wanted to know. If it wasn't, I figured I might as well get in on the party. I stepped down in the hallway and my foot slipped. I came down hard, landed on my ass, and found myself sitting in a pool of blood. That's not good. She shakes her head, grimacing. No, it was pretty bad. So it was pretty obvious by this point that something had gone horribly wrong. My first thought was the shiny object. Might have, I don't know, unleashed something? After what I had saw do in that warehouse, I wouldn't have been surprised. I shook that off pretty quick, though. I knew what it was. Our client was playing us. He'd hired us to steal the thing, and rather than paying us for the... rather than pay us for another job, he'd send another team to take it away. Given what happened at the warehouse, I'd have to assume that the shiny object was to blame. Sure, I get that. It did some crazy shit back in that warehouse, but it had also been sitting dormant for a long time before Sui and I saw it. Anyway, I got off and brushed myself off, and then I beelined to Malvina's cabin. She was the closest thing that the sinking ship had to a leader and the strongest rat shaman of the raft. Why go to her? Why not head straight to Sui's cabin? She stares at you blankly. Because I'm not an idiot? Sorry, that wasn't aimed at you. But think about it for a second. If there was a retrieval team coming for the shiny object and they were strong enough to handle Sui while he was holding it, what chance would I have had of stopping them? I figured that it was time to bring out the big guns. Malvina was the one whom I could get them from. I passed some pretty bad stuff on my way down to Malvina's cabin. It was old man Julian's vault all over again. The torn up bodies, the blood streaks, floors. I saw people who had been cut apart with machetes, scorch marks on the container walls. She bites her lip, grimacing at the unpleasant memories stewing in her head. Deep down in the pit of my gut, I could feel the throbbing vibration of the shiny object. That heartbeat feeling I had in the warehouse. It was back and stronger than ever. Whatever that rock was, it was awake. Did you make it to Malvina's cabin? Yes. I burst through the door, all ready to spread the news, and somebody smashed a gun into my face. It was Cadmus, my friend. He jammed the muzzle of his super warhawk into my cheek so hard it hurt, then grabbed me by the belt with his other hand. I wasn't going anywhere. Just over his shoulder, I saw Malvina. She didn't look amused. Did they think that you were in on the attack somehow? Yeah, only it wasn't an attack. Our client had nothing to do with it. Turns out there was no client. Swede had lied to us, and by helping steal the shiny object, I'd unwillingly given him what he needed to foment a mutiny. She pauses for a moment, gathers her rats in her hands, and lifts them up to her shoulders. They scurry over the leather of her coat and disappear into her hair. As it turns out, betrayal hurts, Seattle. Malvina felt it, and I felt it too. Sui had been a friend. I just risked my life to save his, like 4 hours ago, and he tricked me into helping him do something unthinkable. Why did you think he did it? Why all of this over a heap of junk floating in the bay? I don't know. Maybe he gone toxic. Maybe he got ambitious and wanted to be the king of our little aquatic hill. He didn't discuss it with me at first or anything. I'd be willing to bet that something had gone wrong in Swede long before we ever met. He was pretty damn good at hiding it. Maybe it happened recently. He could have been possessed. She holds up a hand. I don't know why he did it. Frankly, I don't care. The only thing that's important here is that he did. So what'd you do? What could I do? I didn't have a whole lot of options, and Camus was kind of on edge, like red-faced and screaming. So I opened my mouth, and I fast-talked my way out of it. I started off by doubling down on my loyalty to Malvina, Cadmus, and the status quo on the sinking ship. Swearing my undying friendship, you know the drill. I did a good job of it, but they still looked a little iffy. Iffy with a warhawk is bad, so I volunteered to prove myself by stealing the shiny object back from Sui. That was brave of you. I know, right? Not my style, but then I didn't really have a choice. I didn't really help to arm the bastard who was tearing our friends and neighbors apart. I don't think I could have cleared my name without taking his weapon away again. It was a hell of a night. I don't want to go into too many gory details. Friends died. Hell, friends killed each other. It was brother against brother, all that jazz. And Sui's indiscriminate use of the shiny object let a lot of things into this world that shouldn't have been. Did you get a good view of them this time? Yeah. I wish that I hadn't, but I did. I don't really know how to describe the things. They were like animals, but wrong. Too many tails, bones in the wrong places, huge open sores, that kind of thing. They were spirits manifested in physical form, I think. Most of them took the form of rats, swarms of insects, rotting things, all the old pestilence tropes. Sometimes they were colonies of things, all tangled together and moving as one. Not the sort of thing that I wanted to see again. Ever. So anyway, long story short, I got the shiny object back from Sui. It wasn't easy, but I got it. How'd you manage that? Lies and misdirection, trickery, rat helped. Some of the things that Sui let loose actually came in handy. He'd summoned so many of them that he couldn't hope to control them all, and that gave me an opening to use them to my advantage. I managed to trick my way past Sui's supporters and the astral menagerie that he had summoned. It wasn't easy, but I did. it. Then I stole the shiny object, and all was right with the world. And yeah, I'm intentionally glossing over the details. I had to do some things and I'm not proud of, and people died because of it. But I got the damn thing, and I got it back to Malvina. What happened next? Long story short, Malvina put the shiny object to better use than Sui ever did. She took to the thing like she had grown up using it. We still lost dozens of people, but Sui's side lost more. Cadmus was critically wounded, but he pulled through. After the skirmish, Malvina held an assembly. She told everybody that there'd be new rules for life on the raft. Anybody who refused to follow them could leave, and if you broke them, you were done. The rules of the sea and all that. After the pronouncement, she turned on one of the surviving mutineers. Hanu was one of them. He had been in on Sui's plan the whole time. She didn't kill him, but she did exile them from the sinking ship. For people in our economic bracket, that was as good as a one-way trip to the walled city. I'd be willing to bet that they're all dead by now. In the wake of Malvina's ultimatum, 5 survivors left the sinking ship. I was one of them. Why'd you leave? I had to go. We may have washed the blood off the decks, but the energy of the sinking ship had changed. It wasn't the carefree haven that I love anymore. And as simple as Malvina's rules were, I wasn't up to living under them. We parted on good but sad terms, and, as you expect, we drifted apart over the years. It's funny, I hadn't even thought of Malvina or the sinking ship in years. Not until I decided to teach you your previous lesson, and it all came flooding back in. She pauses, turns to you. That's the story. It's finished. But I want to circle back to the lesson that I gave you up front because it's important. We need Auntie Cheng to bring us work, that's obvious. But we also need her to keep us honest, to be sure that we, on the team, are playing straight with one another. Auntie Cheng's reputation rides on the legitimacy of the job that she brings us, and that, more than anything, is why we need her. If we didn't have Auntie Cheng or someone like her, we'd eventually tear ourselves apart. It's happening on the sinking ship. It happened on the sinking ship, it could happen again in Haoi. So anyway, that's the lesson. If you've got follow-up questions, go ahead and ask them. What did Malvina do with the shiny object? Well, first she used it to get rid of the thing that Sui had let loose. Then she put it away for safekeeping. It's probably still there on the sinking ship, ensconced in some shrine or other, held under lock and key. She should have tossed that thing into the bay. Yeah, agreed. I didn't like it either, but then she had already proven that she could handle the thing, and it did help her put down Sui's mutiny. Plus, she's a shaman. We deal with dangerous magic beyond mortal ken on a daily basis. It's not that weird for us. Yeah, but still. Remember that she just watched her home, the home that she was supposed to guide and protect, tear itself apart. She lost a lot of friends and failed in her duties as a leader, and I think that hit her pretty hard. In a shiny object, she saw something that could help her keep her from ever... She saw something that could help her keep that from ever happening again. Given the choice between tossing it and keeping it in her back pocket, well, you do the math. Like I said, I had preferred if she had ditched the thing, but in the end, it was my choice to make. From what little I've heard, she's still in power over there, so I guess that worked out okay. And Sui? What happened to him? That walking colostomy bag was already dead, eaten by his own monsters after I took the shiny object away. Turns out he wasn't much good at controlling them without it. Her voice fills with grim satisfaction. He didn't even live long enough to watch his mutiny fall. Thanks, Gobbet. Sure, in Seattle? Thanks for listening. These lessons are all for your benefit, but I think that they help me too. It's nice to be taken seriously every now and again. No problem, Gobbet. I look forward to the next one. Her face lights up. Yeah, me too. I'm gonna move on. I've got Gobbet things to do. Alright. Well, I think this is a good place to stop for today. We did a lot of good talking, honestly. Got to learn more about everyone else. Helped out some more. I think I'll call it here for today. Next time on Let's Play Shadowrun Hong Kong, we're gonna go ahead and inspect the rest of Haoi. See if anyone's got anything new to speak of. If not, if we do, good, we'll talk with them. If not, however, we're gonna go ahead and do one of the other missions. Since we took care of Isabel's mission, I feel we should probably take care of the Ares mission. Plus, we need to bring Ractor in for us as well, and Isabel, I want to test out some of that new stuff. Anyway, if you like what you guys all see, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell icon to stay notified, and I'll see all of you next time. Laters.